the moment we incarnate as a human being in this material world, this 3D world, we learn that in order to survive, we must depend on external factors. So all of the love and the safety and the power and the abundance and the joy that we are experiencing can only come from external beings, our parents, our caregivers, our family, society. And that is what I would call a horizontal providing, a horizontal resourcing of joy, safety, love, abundance, power, joy, safety. A spiritual awakening is when you realize that none of these things are actually provided from the external, from the material, but from something spiritual, not of the matter, but of the spirit, of the invisible. And it's coming from within, precisely because it's invisible. Only my inner knowing can tell me that. And so a spiritual awakening is a realignment from horizontal resourcing of all these things to vertical resourcing of all these things. Vertical in the sense that it's an eternal connection to something divine, something that is continuously, infinitely, eternally, forever, providing me with the unconditional love, safety, abundance, power, joy that I need continuously, continuously, continuously. That it's never coming from what I see externally with my eyes, with my 5 senses, but only from a knowing within of what I don't see. And that realignment from horizontal to vertical is something that can happen at many dimensions of what it means to be human. It happens spiritually, but it also happens mentally. It happens emotionally. It happens somatically. It happens energetically. On all of those dimensions of what it means to be human, there's a realignment that occurs. Once there's one spiritual awakening, there can be 1,000 and 1,000,000 and an infinity of more awakenings to that reality, to that new truth, that higher truth that everything is coming from within. And there's an infinity of layers of that knowing in each dimension. You can learn more and more and more what it means to be aligned to that infinite source constantly. So let me give examples here. In the somatic realm, what it means is that your nervous system can learn, capacitate to more and more and more of the experience and learn to regulate more and more and more easily, relax more and more easily into the fact that I am safe. Regardless of what's happening around me right now, I know I am safe. And in order to do that, one must know the specific language of the somatic body. So there are specific tools that allow one to really learn how to expand that capacity of the nervous system to come back to regulation and a sense of safety, regardless of what's happening. Then there's a language for the emotional body, which is all of my emotions coming to the surface right now, are completely allowed and valid. And I learn how to create a safe space for me to move that energy through, to express it, to feel it, to transmute it with love and with presence. There's energetically the knowing, the knowing that I am a vessel for energy to flow through all of my meridians and all of the different networks of energy that exist within the human body. Chinese medicine is one way of working with that. But there are many ways of working with energy, but this is coming back to the aligned truth that my life force energy is continuously providing me with energy. And where in my body do I have blockages to that circulation? And how can I, with a specific technique or another, be present to that block and allow it to unblock itself so that the flow can circulate again? Mentally, it's mindset work. It's understanding that regardless of what the world is reflecting back to me, whatever belief system is being reinforced and confirmed by the experience of my material life, people telling me I'm not worthy enough, that I can't do this, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not powerful, that I'm poor, and situations that seem to be confirming all of these things to me. How can I continuously choose to align to a truth that is absolutely divine, that is, I am infinite worthiness, that I am infinitely taken care of by a higher intelligence that orchestrates it all, that I am completely and unconditionally loved, that I am completely safe, that joy is accessible in every moment. Like all of these mindset affirmations and also beliefs, how can I reattune to that regardless of what I'm seeing outside of myself? So all of these different realms are dimensions of the human life within which this realignment can occur, right? I am not actually being threatened right now by what seems to be threatening. Actually, I am totally safe in this moment. I am not supposed to repress my anger right now. I am allowed to allow it to flow, and I can validate it and let it move through me and be expressed. Right? It's this realignment from what I've learned from the horizontal bondage, from the horizontal conditioning and attachment to an external reality, an external paradigm that has taught me to believe that I would not get love if I did not behave in the way that these people wanted me to behave, or that I would not be safe if I don't do all the things that society tells me I need to do in order to be safe. All of these conditionings, these beliefs are based on attachment to the horizontal, to the reality, to the material, and realigning, awakening to a higher truth is detaching from those bondages, those bondings, and realigning to the knowing that the love that they said they would not give me if I didn't do this, it's actually already provided from within. The safety is already provided from within. And so I am allowed to feel that anger. I am actually safe in my body right now, even though I can't pay rent at the end of this month. I am actually powerful to change my belief about myself, even though everyone is telling me I'm not worthy and I'll never make it. All of these things are how to realign to the truth within each dimension of what it means to be human, right? And there's an infinity of levels, of layers of detachment from the external and a realignment to the truth of being sourced from within. There's an infinity of layers that can be found. It never ends. There's no end to this. It's infinite because divinity is infinite, and the embodiment into a material form, a human being, makes it so that there is no end. Okay, that I can cut it out. Okay, we never get anywhere, and it's all already infinitely there. So it's all about us unlearning what we thought we needed to do to get that love, safety, abundance, joy, power, and realize that it was all always already flowing within us. And I'm doing this movement because it is actually through the electromagnetic field that every human being emits that you can see the infinitely circulating energy. And that is our source. It is actually eternally provided from within if we align, if we know, if we remember that it is, just by knowing that it is. We align to a higher truth and we allow that energy to circulate within us. Now, why do I say that it is a higher truth? Because actually, when you start believing, but not only with your mind, but with your somatic body, with your emotional body, with your spiritual body, with your energetic bodies, when you start realigning to that truth, when your nervous system starts to relax more, your emotional body is freed up, your mindset is much more aligned to a higher truth, a self-esteem, a self-worth. When all of these dimensions start to realign to that truth of being sourced from within, your frequency, the frequency of the vibrational field that you actually have, that you are emitting continuously, actually rises. The frequency rises. The frequency of you, of the information that's continuously flowing as your aura, your electromagnetic field, it rises if you measure it. And the most beautiful thing is that when one aligns to that inner truth of being sourced from within, it guides the human to take actions that are aligned with that truth, that are coming from an intention that resonates with that truth. And since that source, that truth of being connected to this infinite source continuously, of love, of joy, of power, of abundance, of safety, since that source is the same for everyone, it is just as infinite for everyone, regardless of the living being that we're talking about, regardless. Every time we take an action from that place, from that knowing, this action will not only serve us, won't only serve our desire of the moment, oh, I'm guided to do this, but it serves everyone because it's coming from an alignment with Source. When you act from the knowing of your connection to Source, you do not only serve yourself, you serve all, because you serve everyone that's connecting to Source. So the action, the person you become from taking that action, reverberates into the entire universe, the entire world. Every living being benefits from this new action that you take if it's done from an inner guidance that's aligned with Source. Abraham received a message the very first time that God spoke to Abraham. It's to say, go towards yourself. Regardless of what your family says or what society says, go towards yourself. And what that means is exactly what I just explained. It's that you grow up in a family, in a social system that tells you you will only be a good person if you do this. You will only get love if you do that. You will only be safe if you do this. And regardless of what people tell you on the horizontal level, in the material, know that inside of you there is an inner guidance that knows better, because it is aligned to a higher intelligence that knows better than your little thinking human mind. The brain cannot perceive what the higher intelligence that orchestrates everything has in mind. So you don't need to understand it all. What you need to do is know how to connect to your inner guidance, to your intuition, to what your body wants to do when you align to the truth that you are completely held and unconditionally loved and fully worthy of everything. So that's the paradox, right? Because you think that you see, you'd think that as you see a world that seems to be dysfunctional and that seems to be in so much pain and with so much distortion and yeah, so much sadness and anger everywhere and fear, you'd think that you would need to act directly on the material plane and take action, and do things to change the world. The paradox is that you can never change the world that way, because that is acting from a sense of conditioning, of I need to be a good person to change this, of I need to stop that pain from happening, out of fear because of those bondages, those bondings that we created through attachment development, right? Believing that we needed to be good and to do this to be good and to do that to be loved and to do this to be worthy and to be safe. But none of that is actually true when you realign to the higher truth that love and that safety doesn't even depend on anything you do. It's already there infinitely before you even do anything. So taking action on the external when you see something that seems wrong and dysfunctional and distorted is actually coming from fear. It's actually coming from those attachment bondings that we all created while growing up. It's not coming from an inner guidance, a knowing of my safety, a trust that I am completely taken care of by a higher intelligence that knows so much better and that divinely orchestrates everything. So the paradox is that it's only by reattuning to that truth in the face of everything we see, in spite of everything we see. So at the level of the somatic, it's even though I'm seeing something that's really scary right now, can I feel that my body is safe? Can I speak the language of my body to reattune it to the truth of its safety and regulate the nervous system? Can I feel the emotions that what I'm perceiving outside of myself are creating inside? Can I let myself feel those emotions and be the witness and allow them to move? Can I allow the energy to flow? Can I allow my mind to not be caught in those thoughts based on shame and guilt of what I need to do, and realign to the truth of my infinite worthiness regardless of what I'm seeing? All of this, and can I trust that there is a higher guidance, higher intelligence orchestrating it all? All of these realignments that can be done every time someone witnesses the distortions and the pain of the external. That's when you realign to the inner guidance, and from that relaxation, that safety, that trust, that joy, that sensation of abundance, what actions do I feel to do? What are the truly guided actions from source that I am called to do from within? Those are the actions that are going to reverberate into the entire world and change the world for the better. That is what is going to serve the world the most. So it doesn't make sense to the mental, rational brain of human beings, because that's what we've learned. But it is paradoxically the only way to experience a world that shifts, because the more people realign to that truth and take action from that truth, the more the world will look like heaven on earth. And heaven on earth, heaven is only something that is to be experienced on earth. Heaven is a frequency. Heaven is how high does my frequency vibrate? How deeply do I know that I am safe? How deeply can I feel the joy of knowing that everything is divinely orchestrated and happening for the greatest bliss of everyone? How deeply can I trust that? How safe can I be? That is what creates heaven on earth. Hell is depending on externals, depending on people loving you, validating you, confirming that you are all the things, which will never happen, because everything you perceive will only be a reflection of how much you know the truth. So the more human beings realign to that inner source, that inner providing, the more the world is going to shift before our eyes. But it starts by the individual. It cannot happen externally if it doesn't happen internally first. Each person, each human being has the responsibility, the capacity, the responsibility, the ability to shift from a horizontal paradigm where everything is given from the external to a vertical paradigm where everything is sourced from within, circulating continuously in the electromagnetic field that is us, that is emanating from us and providing us constantly. In fact, that is what the Holy Grail is. Because we, as human beings who depend on the exterior, incarnate into this world believing that we have holes, like the cup that is whole, and that it needs to be filled with the love of my parents, of my siblings, of society, and with the safety of these external things. But finding the Holy Grail is realizing that you are the Holy Grail. That the Holy Grail is actually continuously filled abundantly from within. From within. It's already filled. And from there it overflows, and the actions that we take are made from that knowing, that infinite knowing that I am completely connected to the source, which is the same source for all. So everything I do from this place serves the all. So it's paradoxical. You can't act directly. You can only act from knowing, and then it reverberates into the world. Oh yeah, and the interesting thing is that each of those dimensions, each of those realms, the somatic, the emotional, the spiritual, the energetic, they actually connect between each other. And when you have an awakening and an expansion of that realignment, that detachment from the previous paradigm and the realignment to the truth of being sourced from within in each dimension, when one dimension is realigned, it actually impacts another one. And so there's a ripple in all of the system, the holistic system. Yes, and one last thing is that the world, before we can experience that heaven on earth everywhere, we're gonna have to feel through all of the repressed emotions, all of the things that we have denied into the shadows of our being. It's all gonna have to come to the surface to be seen and to be felt, so that we can free up the blockages, because it was creating blockages. When there's an energetic block within ourselves, where there's a limiting belief, when there's a nervous system that is hyper vigilant when it doesn't need to be, because nothing is attacking right now. So all of these are the same phenomenon happening in the somatic realm, the emotional realm, the energetic realm. It's always the repressed information, everything that the human mind has decided that is wrong and that is shadowy and that is not good, that is bad, has been repressed. We've been taught that it's not okay to feel anger, that it's not okay to feel sadness and depressed. We've been taught that it's that certain actions are wrong and others are good. All of these have created a repression of things, of emotions, of thoughts, and we put them in the shadow of shame, and it builds and it builds and it builds, and it's been building for generations, for thousands of years. So of course, heaven on earth and this knowing of our divinity, regardless of who we are, is going to have to be met with the coming up to the surface of all that darkness. And the initiation is going to be to remain in the knowing of my source, of my light, of my unconditional love, of my power, of my abundance, even if I feel this horrifying feeling, even if I'm seeing all those thoughts that I've been repressing in my mind, even if I feel really scared right now and my somatic nervous system is terrified in this moment, even if I'm feeling awful and depressed, this is just the withdrawal experience, the purging of all the muck that has been kept in the shadows, not only for your entire life, but also the entire life of your ancestors. And you have taken on all of it generationally, because this is the way life works. And you have inherited this body, and in this body there's the memories of so many ancestral repressions and fears and traumas. So Now, in order to become the embodiment of that love, we need to be the love of all of us, of ourselves, even the muck that's coming to the surface. And this is why the world right now is reflecting back to us all the distortions that we have repressed within ourselves. This is why it's going to have to be painful before it's heavenly and blissful. It's because we cannot reach this holiness, this wholeness, this knowing of being divine regardless of who we are if we do not meet the darkest parts of who we are and still choose to see that we are lovable and loved, and that we are the light, that we are seeing this, that this is not who we are, this is a part of who we are, and understand it as something that didn't know who we are and that acted because of those conditionings. So all of this is the process of alchemy that is happening right now, and that is why it seems like doomsday and everything is going to be apocalyptic. It's because the muck needs to come to the surface to be seen and loved, so that we can embody the love that we know we are internally. This is what's happening right now. So all is divinely orchestrated. All is divinely orchestrated. It's gonna be okay. It always is okay. It's always divine in every moment. Everything's already there. The only thing we need to do as human beings right now is remember how it's all already there, how it's all safe, how everything is taken care of by a higher intelligence right now, in every moment, and to continuously come back to that remembrance, regardless of what's happening in the material, and to practice this over and over and over again, mentally, emotionally, energetically, somatically, and spiritually. We've got this.